Sorry I haven't posted in a few days. My schedule's like really fucked up right now. I've been focusing mainly on school. Like, I never knew 8th grade could have so much homework, but I'm uploading now. So if you've never heard of YouTube before, or you have worse internet than fucking Cricket Wireless, then you probably know about My Story Animated. My Story Animated is literally in the name. It's a shit animation channel that makes these dumb-ass story times of like fake stories and shit. Back in the day, from like 2016 to 2019, the channel used to be called Actually Happened. I think that channel got terminated or something, judging by all the videos, because at the time I was in boarding school and those schools like screen free, so there was no YouTube for the last 6 months. But I'm talking long enough, so just roll the intro. Yo, what's up my fellow rejects, David here back with a 144p video. I don't know how I can export a video and it ends up being like 20 gigabytes, and then when I upload it, it ends up being what, 360p? I think I'm just tripping, you tell me. If you couldn't tell by that long ass intro, you already know that My Story Animated, pretty much like 99.9% of the content they make are just straight lies. Like, I'm not surprised either, because the company that owns My Story Animated also owns 7-second riddles, and they also own 5-minute crafts, so you already know they're like -1 IQ. The video we're gonna be checking out today is titled "I Followed My Crush to the Basement, Instantly Regrets It." Just from the thumbnail alone, I already know this video is gonna be AIDS.
I was running through the rain trying to get home as quickly as possible when I noticed my crush James walking onto the school grounds. I didn't want him to see me like this. I was soaked to the bone.
See, one thing I don't understand about most girls is how much they care about their clothing. I mean, I know I sound a little bit dumb right now, but you don't gotta stress over the fact that you got a few drops of water on your head.
Looking like a drowned rat, but I had to know what he was up to. What if he was breaking into the school?
Not this again. I now know that she's one of the bitches that sees a man and thinks he's gonna rob a fucking Starbucks.
I decided to follow him, and at one point, I swear, he turned around and looked right at me. I didn't know if I was seeing things, but it even looked like he smiled at me. Wait, did he want me to follow him?
First of all, the Wish.com version of fucking Shinichi over here didn't even look at you. And even if he did, who the fuck cares? And you're saying that he smiled at you. Judging by the shit animation, he barely even turned around. And even if he did do a full-on 360 and smiled at you, how does something as small as a smile indicate somebody wanting to be followed?
Suddenly, I felt brave. I was going to tell him how I felt. The moment I'd waited for my whole life had arrived. But then I saw him climbing into the tornado shelter, and that should have been my first warning not to keep following him, because things were about to get super weird.
You gonna make me act up. You gonna make me do something I'm gonna regret.
Before I unleash my crazy story onto you, click like and subscribe to stay up to date with all the madness that My Story Animated has in store for you.
I find it funny how easy it is from telling a rape story to just plugging the YouTube channel.
Okay, so there I was, climbing into a tornado shelter after my crush, with absolutely no plan of what I'd do next. I was acting purely on impulse, and it felt amazing. I felt sure he knew I'd climbed in after him, but I couldn't see anything, so I used the flashlight on my phone and realized he'd already gone down the stairs. The rain was really pouring now, so I closed the lid. The last thing I wanted was to flood the shelter. Not on a special night like tonight. I'd never been this close to James before, just the two of us alone. Except we weren't alone. As soon as I closed the lid, I heard a girl's voice. No! I started panicking and decided this had been a stupid idea. I pushed the lid to climb back out, but it wouldn't open. No matter how hard I pushed it, it didn't budge. Oh my gosh, I was stuck. If it had just been me and James down there, it would have been quite exciting. But suddenly I heard a kissing sound and I realized my worst nightmare had just come true.
Considering the fact that you were legit stalking somebody, followed somebody, and locked them underground, yeah, stop acting like you don't deserve it.
I was stuck in a tornado shelter with my crush and his girlfriend by the sounds of things. I didn't want them to know I was there, like some creepy stalkers, so I tried to keep as quiet as possible. I could hear them laughing, and then the girl said, "Did anyone see you come in here? I hope we didn't get caught." And James replied, "No, I don't think so. Oh no, wait, there was a girl from my school, but she wouldn't say anything. She's such a loser."
Okay, now I can definitely guarantee you that this video is fake because the vocabulary is just stuck in 2013.
At that, I had to cover my face. I wanted to cry. It felt like he'd shoved a knife through my heart. And then I felt angry. I had to get out of there. This was literally the most embarrassing situation to ever be in. And what would my parents think when they found out? I gave the lid one final push, but I pushed too hard. The next moment, I lost my footing and was rolling down the stairs. I landed with a thump and blacked out for a second. When I opened my eyes, James and his girlfriend were standing over me. They didn't even ask me if I was okay. James just looked down at me and said, "Did you follow me here? What are you playing at?" Then he turned to his girlfriend and said, "Come on, babe, let's bounce." Then they just left me lying there and headed up the stairs. I was about to tell them that we were trapped down there, but they'd soon discover it for themselves. I could hear James bashing on the lid of the shelter, but obviously it wouldn't open. And then he shouted down to me and asked if I'd done this and if I thought it was funny. No, James, I did not find this funny. I wanted to shout up at him. Gosh, what would he say if he knew how much I wished I were his girlfriend and not that dumb blonde girl? Then he started shouting about how he had to get out ASAP because the next day was his big football game that was going to guarantee him a scholarship to a top college.
Of course, you have to pull the Hawkeye at school plays football cliche.
He said he had to get it, otherwise he'd be stuck in this stupid town forever. Oh no. This was a disaster, and it was only just the beginning. I sat up and looked around with my flashlight on my phone and realized there was literally nothing down there except for some sandbags and an old scratchy blanket that looked like 1,000 bugs might be living in it. And then I realized I was shivering, like properly freezing cold. My phone was on 10%. Not that it mattered. There was absolutely no signal down there anyway. I didn't even have a bottle of water on me, and by the looks of things, James and his girlfriend had nothing either. Oh man. I held my breath as they came down the stairs. I was so scared of what they'd say to me. They were arguing, and James's girlfriend came right up to me and said, "This is all your fault.
I mean, she's not wrong.
You've ruined everything." Truly, that felt like the most awkward moment of my entire life. James told her to try and calm down, and I learned her name was Amy. She must have gone to another school because I'd never seen her before. Neither of them had signal either, and soon they started screaming for help. I didn't want to tell them it was pointless. The rain was so loud, no one would hear us even if they were right above us. Eventually, I told them I was sorry, even though it wasn't my fault.
I like you, man. You lie a lot.
I lied and told them I'd been trying to shelter from the rain because I'd forgotten my umbrella, but Amy didn't buy it. She said, "Yeah, right. You're clearly a stalker. Do you get kicks out of watching other people making out or something?" James said you're a loser, and he wasn't joking. Look at you. If I hadn't already been underground, I'd have asked the ground to swallow me up. No one had ever been so mean to me before. After that, it was really uncomfortable, and all of us were in a bad mood. Soon, it became obvious we'd all have to spend the night down there. So I found a corner as far away from Amy as possible and lay down. I was still shivering and thought about using the insect-infested blanket, but Amy had already grabbed it. There was no way I'd fall asleep. I was so thirsty, and even though the shelter luckily had a small toilet, there was no sink, which meant no running water. I'd have drunk the rain earlier if I knew this was going to happen. I covered my ears because I was afraid I'd hear them kissing, and eventually I must have fallen asleep because the next moment I found myself waking up to hearing a rustling sound. I looked over at Amy, and even though I couldn't see anything, I knew she was eating something. I could hear her. I couldn't believe she had food with her and wasn't sharing it. Did James know? I should have said something, but I was too scared. I'd already caused enough trouble. Finally, morning came, and by then my phone was at 2%. Soon, I wouldn't even know what time it was. I was bursting for the toilet, so I went to use it, and of course, Amy shouted at me and said my peeing was too loud and had woken her up. Then I noticed there was a light switch outside the toilet. I clicked on it, not expecting it to work, and suddenly the whole shelter was flooded with light. Amy quickly pulled the blanket up and told me to look away. Oh my gosh, were they not wearing clothes? Then Amy just laughed and said everyone knows that body heat is the best way to survive in cold weather.
I'm sorry. This is probably one of the reasons why Actually Happened got terminated. If you guys want me to make a part 2 to this video, please let me know. I probably won't, considering the fact that I'm gonna get copyrighted from this video alone. If I do, I won't be surprised. But yeah, that's all I got for you today. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Like and subscribe if you're new. Follow my socials on screen if you haven't already. I'm now starting to post more on my Twitter, but still, it's not as often. I also made a new Discord server because my last one, it got a lot of complaints because no one could really do anything and it was mostly privated. I really don't know what happened to the last server, but I'm making a new one, so it's whatever. If we can get 20 subscribers on my second channel, David Offline, I'll post daily for a week, and I'll post up to 10 videos on my TikTok. We're trying to hit 200 subscribers before the end of 2022, so it would be really helpful if you would just press a red button. It's free, and it would benefit me more than you can imagine. But yeah, that's all I got for you today. I love y'all, and as usual, stay beautiful. Peace.